Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is only 2 weeks away, meaning it's not going to be long until we're all playing the game for ourselves. When that time comes, you're probably going to want to know a thing or three on how to get the most out of the game. So here's everything that you need to know about Xenoblade Chronicles 3 before playing it. Step 1 when first playing the game is do everything. And I quite literally mean everything. Talk to each and every named NPC that you can find, which isn't too difficult as they're all highlighted on the map. This raises the affinity with each area nice and early, giving you access to better shop items and rewards along with NPC's Collectopedia cards. More on those in a little bit. Additionally, you should accept each and every quest that you see on the map as soon as it's available. You don't need to complete them all straight away, but it's likely that you'll run into or be very close by to many of the quest's locations, especially in the early game, granting you access to a few extra accessories to aid your adventure. Some of these quests will also likely require a number of collectibles that can be seen on the ground when exploring Ionios. If you don't need them for any quests, you should use them to fill in your Collectopedia instead. It works a little differently to previous iterations, but the general idea is the same. Collect items, fill it in, and get free rewards. What's new this time around is that you can fill in a Collectopedia card multiple times, although the rewards diminish after you've filled them in once. The same may also be true for the new skirmishes that you'll see around Ionios. When approaching one, you can select a ZR and choose to aid a certain side, which will then grant you certain rewards. Normally these rewards are just affinity for the nearest colony, but they can include Nopon coins, gold and EXP, amongst other things. All of the things I've just mentioned are helping you set up your journey through Ionios, and in tandem will assist you in facing the more challenging sides of the gameplay. Each item, accessory and EXP point will prove invaluable when starting off, assisting you in getting past those first early battles and preparing you for the rest of adventure that Xenoblade 3 has in store for you. Leading us nicely onto combat, the game has a few things that you're going to want to make sure that you're doing to make the battles go over as smoothly as possible. With 6 different party members to swap between at any time and the new field effect system, your positioning will be vital to your success. It's more important than ever as an attacker that you reposition around the enemy to make use of your directional bonuses on your arms, charging up your talent gauge quickly, allowing you to deal as much damage as possible in a short period of time. Likewise, your defenders and healers want to stay close together, as your healers are your only lifeline in combat, being able to revive and heal your allies, so it's important that your defender classes get in the way as much as possible to mitigate incoming damage, whilst remaining in range to receive heals when necessary. Equally as important is being able to manage your aggro correctly. Thankfully, Xenoblade 3 does a great job at displaying this information. The aggro lines will change colour depending on if a certain party member should have the aggro or not, with red saying they shouldn't and blue stating the opposite. Make sure to use your art smartly, as simply using everything all at once could bring the enemy's aggro to yourself, which in most cases isn't what you want to do. Instead, time your arts accordingly with your other party members, such as saving Noah's break art for when Lanza's topple and Uni's days arts are available, getting the most out of their individual effects. Taking a moment to disengage from combat is also a great way to control who has the aggro, whilst also allowing you to heal up and charge your arts. You will also want to pay attention to the types of enemies around you, as there are a few different types you should be aware of. Many different species of monster live in Ionios, with the majority of which just being standard. Occasionally, however, you will run into lucky, elite, and unique monsters. Elite and unique monsters are stronger versions of enemies that give you extra EXP and gold along with other bonuses, whereas lucky enemies have a higher chance to drop rare items. It should therefore go without saying that you should prioritize these enemies above others, leveling you up quicker whilst also getting a head start on quests and items that you will need in the future. By making sure to follow these tips, you'll have a much easier time when attempting to slay your foes in Ionios. Most of the combat features are rather straightforward, so pay attention to the tutorials and practice in the training drills, which should give you the skills necessary to survive in this world where everyone is your enemy. Alternatively, sometimes you might just want to take the scenic route without murdering all of the wildlife. When doing so, I recommend to run through the world instead of using skip travel. Now yes, it is much faster to just instantly teleport to your next destination, but it's a likely that you'll miss tons of things along the way. And let's face it, it's not a bad thing that you get to walk through a world as gorgeous as this one. During your travels, you'll also probably run into a multitude of different field skills. These range from performing your off-seer duty and gaining some area affinity, to sliding down terrifyingly high tightropes. The effect will vary, as some are used for transportation and others are used for extra rewards, but there is no limit to their presence in Ionios, and each one will likely have its own sense of adventure, meaning that they may be worth the detour. It's also likely that you'll come across many supply drops and containers when out and about. Inside, they contain a plethora of free rewards, such as accessories and collectibles, so there's no excuse to not open one whenever you see them. Helpfully, they're easy to spot, even from a distance, as each one gives off a unique flare to signal their location, with containers having a glowing orange light and supply drops leaving a massive smoke trail in their wake. If you do have issues making your way there, however, then the navigation route will have your back. This is the solution to all of your wayfinding needs, as if you ever get lost or wish to make your way back to the main pathways, then you'll be worry-free as it shows you where you need to go. It can be enabled and disabled at any time via your shortcuts menu, along with many other features, so there should never be an issue of finding your way. Exploring the many different lands of Ionios is an adventure within itself, and discovering new landmarks and unexplored areas will prove useful later on, so sometimes it is worth taking a break from the story and spending some time on a sightseeing tour instead. During your crusade through Ionios, you'll likely run into many new faces, some of which have the potential to become hero characters. Now, the hero mechanic is a feature that I'm extremely excited for, and I recommend completing their hero quests as soon as they are available. That may sound a little contradictory considering I stated the opposite earlier, but hero quests are the exception. Unlocking new heroes not only allows you to equip them as a 7th party member, but also unlocks their class, master arts and master skills for any party member to use. Each new art and skill you unlock will further bolster your offensive capabilities and give you more options of what you can equip for fusion arts. On the other hand, you could choose to equip and use this class yourself, leveling it up to gain even more powerful abilities. Whilst doing so, you should keep an eye on your class level at all times. You want to make sure that you're always leveling and powering up new classes, as there is no benefit to having it equipped at max level. The max rank starts at level 10 during the early game, but later is raised to rank 20 instead. Fortunately, however, classes do appear to gain EXP points very quickly, as all of your starting classes should be max rank by the end of chapter 1. Each class will also affect your stats differently, depending on whether their role is an attacker, defender, or healer. We don't know the formulas used to calculate damage or healing at this point in time, so there's not much to say on most of the stats visible. That said, however, dexterity is one that we do have a little idea about, and it appears to be extremely important. Within much of the preview footage, many attacks, whether they be arts or auto attacks, appear to miss on a regular basis. This may be due to the early game stats being rather low, which negatively affects your accuracy, which is why it's probably a good idea to equip accessories that boost this stat. Accuracy is arguably your most important stat, as it decides whether an attack hits or not, and thus whether a debuff or extra effect can be applied. Alternatively, you could simply overlevel yourself to gain a natural increase to all of your stats instead. The best way to do this is through the overkill mechanic via chain attacks. This is a combat mechanic that will be unlocked later in the game, and besides dealing massive damage to your enemies, it can also multiply all of the EXP you gain from that fight. Overkill is performed when you defeat an enemy via a chain attack, and every point of damage is then used to increase the EXP multiplier, and thus how much EXP you will receive. This feature alone can erase the need to grind levels in Xenoblade 3, as one well-timed chain attack can raise your level multiple times, assisting you in overcoming any challenge that you may face in Ionios. And that was everything that you're going to need to know before playing Xenoblade 3. If this video has taught you something new and helped you prepare for release day, then smash that subscribe button and notification bell so you can stay up to date with all of the latest Xenoblade 3 news. I appreciate you all for watching though, and hope to catch you in the next one. This is JB, signing off.